Welcome back. Fix Your Form. Brian Lepine here at Fitness Fusion. Thanks for joining me for another episode here at Fix Your Form. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. Today we're going to cover the RDL. RDL stands for Romanian Deadlift, which is another term for the stiff leg deadlift. So there's two main types of deadlifts. There's a conventional and then a stiff leg. Today we're going to go over the stiff leg version. The conventional deadlift will be another day. First, let me show you a visual overview of the RDL. You can do it with a barbell or dumbbells, doesn't matter, whatever you got, it's fine. I'm going to demonstrate with a barbell today, but you can imagine two dumbbells would look exactly the same, right? So I'm going to start in the tall position, right? You don't start from the bottom. Start tall, hinge at the hips, keep your back nice and flat. Get a nice full range of motion, big stretch in the hamstrings, and then fire up and squeeze your glutes. That was a little bit slower. So a full speed RDL would look something like this. It's still going to be slow, controlled, not a fast exercise. And there is your stiff leg deadlift or RDL. The exercise is going to target the hamstrings mainly, so the back side of your leg. You are going to get some stretch in the glutes and a big squeeze forward at the top in the hamstrings and the glutes. Now let's take a look at some ways that people do this exercise wrong. And there's quite a few ways. The most important one, and the one you see most often, is the rounding of the back during the RDL. So you're going to see people go down, and then once they get to a certain point, they're going to start to round. Either the low back starts to round first, or the upper back. And that was exaggerated. Hopefully no one's doing it like that. If you see anyone like that, go over and tell them to stop, or they're going to end up in the hospital. But we want a nice flat back, nice neutral spine throughout the entire range of motion. Okay, so we're going to start with this PVC pipe. If you haven't seen my video for the bent over row, go back and watch that. It's going to be the same idea in getting into that position. We're going to use the PVC pipe. I'm going to place one part of it right in my tailbone. The second part is right in my mid-back between my shoulder blades. And the third part of it is on my head. From here, I'm going to bend, hinge at the hips until I can no longer go any further with keeping all 3 points of contact on the PVC pipe. Okay? So if you start to lose it, that means you rounded your back. So I lost my tailbone, my upper back is bending. Or if I lost it here. So it's easy to see when you start to lose that position. So start back up tall and try it again. Make sure, if this is as far as you can get without rounding, that's your range of motion, and that's fine. It will get further as you get more flexible into this exercise, but only go as far as your body allows you. Okay. The next thing we want to talk about, which will allow you to keep the flat back, is to keep a soft knee. So soft knee means a little bit of bend. I'm not trying to keep my legs perfectly locked in or even backwards. So basically, don't be a flamingo. Remember that, no flamingo. So you want a soft knee, little bend throughout. It's going to allow for a bigger range of motion while keeping the back nice and flat. Too much bend, you don't want either, because then it's not a stiff leg deadlift. So you don't want to increase the bend while you lower. You want to keep the soft knee, small angle the entire way, okay? All the way down and up. Next up on the list of mistakes that people make is they keep the bar too far from the body. So when I'm doing the exercise, I want the bar to skim close to my thighs and shins all the way up and down. So I'll demonstrate with this. I want it to be nice and close, nice and close, nice and close. I'm hinging at the hips, they're driving back, and then I come back up. What you don't want to see is the weight transfer forward more and the bar to be too far from the body. So this position, my wrists are underneath my shoulders, which is good. However, all of my weight is in the front half of my shoe. So I'm through my toes. I want to have the weight back through my heels to really accentuate that hamstring stretch, which is the target on this exercise. So heels down, weight transferred through the heels, hips back. I should be able to wiggle my toes at the bottom. If the weight's transferred too far to the front, you wouldn't be able to wiggle your toes and you might see your heels rise up. So both are big no-nos. Keep the bar close to the body as your hips drive back. Stick your butt out to the wall or whatever you got behind you. Say it's a pole or a wall. Really stick your butt out behind you as far as you can, keeping a flat foot and a flat back. Soft knee, small bend the whole way. Next, we're going to look at another mistake. It has to do with the range of motion of the exercise. And with every other exercise you're going to see on this channel, I mentioned what? Range of motion. So it's a big deal on every single exercise you ever do. So you got to make sure you get the range of motion right. If your range of motion is too big, you're likely going to lose the correct position somewhere along your body. Right? So if I try to get too far down, I'm eventually going to round somewhere and lose the correct position. So if that was too big, so I was reaching for the floor. The target of this exercise is not to get the weight to the floor. It's only to get as far as you can, keeping proper position, big stretch in the hamstrings, flat back, soft knee, and then back up. The other mistake is the opposite. It's not enough range of motion. So if I'm going stretch, 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 stretch. And if I stop here, but I'm not as far as my body would allow me to be, again, not effective because you're not getting the stretch at the bottom of the exercise. So I don't want to stop until I get to that point where I'm stretched fully in the hamstrings, and then I come back up, engage the glutes from there. Another thing we're going to talk about within that range of motion is the way down isn't the only part that matters. The way up and being at the top also plays a big role in the exercise. That's where you're going to engage the glutes and the hamstrings. So if you watch, when I go down, I'm done here, big stretch. When I come up, I don't stop here. I'm going to drive forward at the hips, squeeze the glutes and the hamstrings. I'm going to try to drive through the pole. So the bar. All right, so down and then up and drive forward. But you'll notice I'm tall and I'm not arching my back to drive the hips forward. So I'm trying to get what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. And what that's going to look like is you're going to try to tilt your hips forward by engaging your core and your glutes and your hamstrings at the same time. So you got the bar and you're going to tilt, posterior tilt of the hips at the top. And then when you go back, nice neutral spine. Up at the top, posterior tilt. Core is tight, glutes engaged, back's flat. Make sure you don't arch forward at the top, because that's not going to help anything. All right? Next thing we're going to look at is the arm positioning and shoulder positioning throughout the exercise. And it's a common mistake where you're going to see people get so again, you're starting in the tall position, and you want to let your arms hang perfectly straight. So no bend in the elbow. You want to just picture your hands as hooks for the weight, and let your shoulders relax as well. So I'm not bunched up here, not bending at the elbow. When I go down, the arms are straight, and when I come up, the arms are straight, shoulder is relaxed. What you're going to see, a big mistake, is that people think they have to shrug at the top. So they'll kind of go like this, and then the top will do a little bit of a pull. And that's not a part of this exercise at all. I don't know where that stems from, but you'll see it all the time. So no shrug or pull or bend at the elbows. Let me show you from the front here so you can see what it looks like. So I'm RDL, down, stiff leg. At the top, you don't want to pull or shrug, okay? Make sure those arms are straight. You're just hooks for the weight. That's all your arms are doing. That's all your hands are doing. Okay, let's bring this thing full circle. So let's go over some cues that I like to tell my clients that keeps them in the right form throughout the whole exercise. So from the start, when you set up, arms are nice and straight, shoulders are relaxed. You're going to hinge at the hips first. Drive the hips back. Keep the bar close to the thighs and the shins. Keep the back flat. Only go as far as you can while keeping the back flat. Once you start to round, you've gone too far. Once you get to that stretch in the hamstrings, you start the slow pull back up. At the top, you're going to keep the arms straight, keep the shoulder relaxed, and drive your hips forward through the bar using a posterior pelvic tilt. So tighten your core, tighten your glutes, squeeze up. Also try to engage your hamstrings in this position at the top, and then begin again on your next rep. So hopefully that helps you with your RDL form. There's a lot to it. I mean, you got to focus on the legs, the core, the arms, the shoulders. So there's a lot to it, I know. The more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. Watch your back mainly, make sure it's nice and flat. Get that hamstring stretch at the bottom at the very least. And let me know if you have questions on it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions for you guys. If you want to see any specific exercises, if you're struggling on any form, technique, progress, let me know and I will happily cover any exercise you guys want to see. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, hit that like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And also subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And we'll see you guys next time on Fix Your Form.